The name's Bond. James Bond.
Welcome back, everyone, to RB's Toy Box. I hope you enjoyed our little intro there. I did a teaser the other day just to kind of pump that out ahead of time because I'd rolled some footage and stuff for it, and I really enjoyed doing that. Anytime you can, dress up like James Bond. I wish I had the little bow tie going on, but, we're all on this channel together, right? I mean, whether it's cosplay or whatever, it always reflects us back to when we were kids. And what young boy, before we discovered girls, was not a James Bond fanatic, right? That followed the movies, followed just the image, right? Of dressing up and, playing spy with your brother, right? You get out your little toy pistols and, pew, 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 and you're, hiding around the corner. And, that's all the stuff that just floods back memories to everyone, right? When you can watch a movie and you remember back when you were kids and how this was such a big deal. And the franchise as its own, I'm not going to try to get into that. There's plenty of YouTube channels out there that's going to talk about the movies and who was the better Bond, Sean Connery. But for me, it's all about the collectibles. Now, there are a lot of things that I want to get that are just too expensive. I like James Bond, but I got into James Bond because the same reason I got into Star Trek and Star Wars. The buttons, the gizmos, the gadgets, and that's the thing that really, got my attention when I was a kid. But fast forward that into, the last few years of collecting, I haven't amassed a huge one, but I do have some pretty cool things that I would like to showcase today. One of those, as you saw in the film, this cool little thing right here. Now, this is a Minox camera. Now, this is the Minox B, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there's several different versions of this little guy right here. But the Minox B, they made like 330,000 of them according to my little internet research, which means that you can still find these and you can find them in decent shape. This one is in really good shape, and you can still get film for these. There's a couple of websites out there that still offer film for these, and they're very simple. They have the little dials and stuff there on top of them, and, but you just got that, and then snap the picture, ta-da, right in there. And of course, we saw, I think there was only one time that you actually see the camera and it had, emblazoned in there the 007. Obviously a different version of a, small camera, but the same principle is still there, where you were taking these little pictures and then wind the film and take the picture, and then it has the lighting adjustments and so forth there on the top. and it had, I think this is a light meter right here. Some folks on the channel, you might know a whole lot more about this camera than I do, and feel free to chime up a few things there in the comments down below. Let everybody else know a little bit about this camera, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. If you made a video about it, hey, maybe share the video in the comments down below. If you're new to RB's Toy Box, make sure you like and subscribe. We super appreciate that when we get new followers, and those nice comments, just keep them coming if you feel like it. You know, we appreciate those as well. But one of the things that I found super fascinating about this was the chain. Now watch this. If you go down and look very closely, there's knops in the chain. Now, I didn't think anything about it until I watched a video from a camera expert on this particular one. And by the way, there's a difference. The Minox 2, yep, make sure I pronounced it right, Minox 2 and B look practically identical. The 2 is a little bitty bit different, but I mean, if you look at them right out of the box, they look practically identical. This one is the B. You can see it right there on the back. But let's get back to the chain. The chain is used so you can measure off the distance when you've got this little guy right next to your face like this, right? You can measure off the distance away from your document that you're taking pictures from. This was never designed to, you know, be one of these, you know, kind of cameras like this. It was designed as a document camera. So it has this little measuring tape, if you will. You know, it's like, I know I have to be this far away or this far away, and you measure it out so you can snap the picture like that. I don't know why, but when I read that, man, I was like, dang, that's cool. It was just like that little bitty piece of history that you're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I like that. I wish my, you know, my cell phone had something like that. But it comes with this little built-in case here, and you just slide that back down through like that, and then it opens up and it just kind of drops right down in there like that, and then you put it in your pocket, and then da-da-da-da, you know, you got your little James Bond camera ready to roll. But I picked this up, you know, I saw it and I'm like, you know, because I wanted something like this forever and just either never looked hard enough or found it. You can pick these up on eBay and a couple of other camera sites out there between $50 and $150. This one, I think, if I'm not 100% sure, it was like $67, $68. Wasn't horrible. It was at a like a peddler's mall, you know, a little antique peddler's mall, just south of Haines City, Florida. It's a nice little, it's called Picker's Paradise. You want to look that up online? They just moved to a new facility, huge facility, but Picker's Paradise is where I got that, all the way in the back, in a nice little glass case right there next to some pocket watches and stuff. Let's move to the next one. This is not a James Bond style prop. Just like this isn't movie accurate or anything. It's just, you know, just for fun, just like everything else. And that is this little guy right here. Now don't freak out. This isn't a real Bang Bang. This is a replica. If you look very closely in there, that's solid inside of there. But this was manufactured many years ago as a replica, and they did a beautiful job. I mean, you can pull that back in, pull that out, bang, 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 you know, push the little thing and snap. It's got no firing pin in it, but it's got the solid, you know, pieces here in the back. So if you don't know any better, I mean, you think this is a baby Nambu that you picked up from Japan. And that is why I got it. When I was at a gun show with my son, and he is a weapons fanatic, which is fine. I don't say I'm a fanatic, but, you know, I am a military, you know, background kind of guy, so I have no problem with the Second Amendment. Don't scream and yell at me in the comments about political stuff. Not trying to get political. But I picked this up at I did some quick online research. You know, the guy had it in the cabinet. He just brought it for showcase. He wasn't really wanting to sell it, and started walking around. And these things are going for like $1,000 plus for the gold version, and then the plated version is like 600. And I don't want to tell you what I picked this up for. You're going to be screaming and yelling, but I picked this up for $200 for the 24 karat gold version. This is a wonderful, wonderful replica, but you know, it looks like something that would be in a James Bond film. And being the Goldfinger is one of my favorite ones, I'm like, man, I saw that, I'm like, man, that would be so cool to have, you know, something like that I could put on the shelves, kind of cool. And then I did a little research on it to find out that this was like an officer's pistol back during World War II in Japan, to where, you know, the officers were presented with this baby Nambu. And it's, like I said, it is a beautiful, beautiful replica. If you look at that, all the way down to the markings, all the way down to the insignia of the firearms company that would basically produce these back in Japan. This uses 7mm, and I'm going to say cartridges because they're not real bullets. You can put real bullets in here, it won't do you any good. But this is 7mm. There are a couple of companies out there that still sell the 7mm that you can get and put down in there. And then of course you slide that in there. You can pull the slide back. It will not close because there's no bullets in there. Hey, laughing boy, no more bullets. But if you pull that out, of course, it's going to slide closed. This model, and several models very similar to this one, have this little safety right here. So that, you know, if you're in a fight or whatever, and even if your finger's on the trigger, it will not fire. You have to push it and then pull the trigger in order to get it to fire. Nice little safety scenario that kind of came out in World War I, actually. Some of our weapons aficionados can hop in there and talk about that a little bit, but that extra safety right there was due to the hand-to-hand combat scenarios, to where if you got in too close, you might accidentally shoot yourself. So if you could put yourself in a situation where you had to purposely pull on that, purposely pull on this. Some of them have it across the back. I won't get any further into that because we're talking about this one today. But just a beautiful, beautiful version. And when I saw it, I wanted to get it because it would be great with my little James Bond collection. Another thing that I picked up, and this is the cool thing about collecting, because if you're kind of collecting based upon themes like I do, right? You know, I have my little themes. If you watched around the different collections, you know, I got Battlestar Galactica wraps down, Voltron, He-Man, Tron, A-Team, Back to the Future. But you can pick things up like this really inexpensively. eBay, you can get them for $3, $4, $5 a piece, depending on their condition. But you know, when I saw this over here, I picked it up. Matter of fact, I got this as part of a lot, to where I went on there and I got several of these that represent multiple franchises I have here in the room. And you know, told them I'll give you $5 a piece for them, and they shipped them right on out. Also went over to a local thrift store in Winter Haven, not thrift store, another vendor's mall in a funeral home, believe it or not. Kind of cool, kind of creepy. Over in Winter Haven, Florida. Trying to remember the name of that one. Something Treasures. Can't remember. But there was a place in the back that had like a whole bunch of these, and they were, as you can see, $7 a piece. And I took a whole, like 10 of them up front and said, I'll give you $5 a piece for them. They called and said, yep, no problem. And I purchased those, and I have one for multiple franchises through here, 2010 and stuff. But again, if you're franchise shopping, you can pick up stuff like this and just put it in with your collected franchises. I have that for, you know, 2010. I have the Jaws, Top Gun, Miami Vice, on and on, where, you know, for $2, $3, $4, you can pick up something just to kind of add to that. TV Guide's another really good one to do with that as well. Now, I also have, as you can see on the back wall here, matter of fact, let me bring you a little closer.
Hang on, James.
The thought had occurred to me.
All right, so over on this shelf, I have a few things. Now, these Johnny Lightnings, I have had these since, I mean, this was one of the things that made it through, you know, all the stuff getting stolen. It was in a box with my, you know, my little flip-up Kodak camera, and so I still have these. And then I have a series of these that I just picked up through, you know, everywhere else. But I got A Man with a Golden Gun, Never Say Never Again, For Your Eyes Only, The World Is Not Enough. And I want to get more of those. These are another low-cost way that you can kind of add to your collection. I have a few DVDs, and then I have, you know, some additional Johnny Lightning kind of stuff here. But I have several of the movies represented in these 12 cars here on the back wall. But the one thing that I want to show you here that you may have already seen in another video is the DB5. Let's look at that just a little bit closer. So not too long ago, Playmobil came out with their little James Bond DB5, and I have a review video that I did on this one and dressed up like James Bond as well. But I won't go into a ton of detail on this. I'll leave you to watch the video on that. But this is one that you should add to your collection, especially now. They're about $30 cheaper than they were when they were released. And it's going to be the same thing as with the Enterprise, to where, you know, it starts out at a high price, it'll go down for a little while. Once they stop building these things and releasing these, the price is going to skyrocket within 6 months to a year. So you want to get them while they're low. There is a really good chance, depending on how many that they made of these, that it's going to work just like it was with the DeLorean, to where the DeLorean got all the way down to $25 before they stopped making those. So that is a possibility with this one, simply because it's not the highest of quality. When you look at it, it's not shiny or anything else, but it has all the bones, right? So you've got the little plate that, you know, can switch here in the front. It has the plate in the back. It has a little bulletproof shield that slides up. Doesn't stay up very good, but, you know, can slide that up. And then it has, if you pull down the exhaust tip right here, then the roof comes off, and it has a little shield, well, like a little plastic piece inside right there, where it will eject the seat like that. And then you can just see the slides that are on there, so it just slides back down. And then the plastic piece there is to eject the roof. So you just slide that back down into place. And you can put, of course, your little character in there with it, so he goes flying out. But they did a fairly decent job with the overall setup. My biggest complaint, as you'll see in the video, is that, you know, I think it should have been painted better. That's just my opinion. But down inside, you can see that it has a little red button inside of there. Matter of fact, let me get this. Maybe you can see down in there a little bit better. It's got the red button on the gear shifter. It has the little like radar scanner on it. So, you know, it has some things in there to at least give it some definition. It would be nice if the door opened. The door's open, but it does not. And then, you know, underside, you know, pretty standard. This is comparable to a 1/18 scale, and, you know, it is licensed to it. It does come also with the characters. You have, of course, James Bond, and then you have, in this particular case, Goldfinger. And it also comes with a little pair of binoculars. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And there we got that one. And of course we got and he comes with a stick of dynamite. I don't know that was the appropriate tool for him, but it comes with a stick of dynamite. So you got odd jobs, you know. And then it also comes with some Playmobil marked gold bars, you know, it's the Goldfinger edition. And then you got this little, you know, guy that goes along with it that, get shot out through the top there, cruising down the road. I also, because of my A-Team collection, have the little pew pew to go with it, and so you can kind of you have some fun with it. But that's what it's meant for, right? It's a Playmobil playset. So if you're in a James Bond doll, and I assume you are watching this video, this is definitely one of those branded things that you want to go ahead and invest in. I bought it obviously full retail back in the day, but they are going right now on Amazon for about 60 bucks. And you can pick one up. There's very, very few things that you have to assemble to get this one, together and up and running. You do have to put the stickers on it and stuff, but make sure you check out my review video on the Playmobil DB5 from James Bond Goldfinger. Now I have a couple more things to show you before we wrap up the video, but before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe again. I super appreciate that. But I want to show you how the culture of that spy culture made its way into the homes, and people that were like, I think I might be able to make something like that, or something that would be cool like that. I'm going to show you that next.
Shocking.
Oh.
Positively shocking.
All right, what I want to show you is a couple of different versions of the little hidden phone, the little box phone of sorts, where you didn't know where the phone was when the phone started ringing. Ring, ring, ring. Where's the phone? Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. You open it up and, hello, Chief, how you doing? Right? And then, make your little dial tone right here. But this one was made by GTE, but it's just a classic example of 3 different versions that I have, where, especially in the 60s and 70s, and a little bit into the 80s, I have an 80s version of this, but where these were coming into, Class A, right? It's like, I want to have something like that kind of spy kind of feel to it. Matter of fact, when you go look at these up on eBay, you want to type in spy phone, and all of these type phones come up, because that's kind of how people remember them, is the fact that this kind of gave you that James Bond feel in your very own house. Now let's look at this one a little bit closer, and then we'll look at the other 2 versions as well. And of course, you can't forget the whole, cell phone revolution, and how the flip phone and, the wireless technology, pocket technology, all that, in my opinion, was inspired by James Bond films. Now, while you could certainly argue over the fact that, Star Trek had a lot to do with that mobile technology as well, I think we can all agree that anything that was considered a gadget or gizmo related us back to James Bond and the heritage that it brings along with it. Now, you can go along with the whole suave and the women and whatever, even though there's really not a lot of, that kind of stuff in those movies if you really watch them. It's really more about the technology. It's the storyline. It's building a character and maintaining a character. And I think that is why, with all the different movies, all the different actors that have come along, the franchise in and of itself has maintained. That's why I was a little concerned, you know, if I might interject with the latest batch of them, where, you know, the Q branch kind of like got downgraded to just computers, really. I mean, one or two, you know, little bitty things. They had the one watch, they had the little tracker, but that's really about it, other than a couple of gizmos inside of the car. Wasn't really a whole lot of other stuff like you saw over in many of the other, you know, Roger Moore and Sean Connery versions. And, you know, I think a lot of people miss that. You know, I'm all for the storyline, but, you know, like me, you know, we're all about the gizmos and the gadgets and having these little cool spy things there in the house, right, that you can showcase and show off. And remember when we were kids, just how cool it was to go outside of your room, outside of your home, and be able to go to places that you could normally never go to. And you can do that by watching those movies. Make sure you stay tuned to RB's Toy Box. Again, we super appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed our little walk around the James Bond universe with a handful of the things that I have here in the collection. Got a lot of more stuff that I want to showcase, but if you've seen something in some of my videos that you would like me to go ahead and make a video on, make sure you drop that in the comments down below and say, hey, I noticed that you had a Knight Rider or something, or Ghostbusters or whatever. Let me know. I'll be happy to make a video for you on it. And in the meantime, for all my collector friends out there, hey, I'll see you soon.
Step into the magic on my fun-filled stage. RB's Toy Box is great for kids of any age. From Star Trek to A-Team and retro toys too. Come join on my journey, making videos just for you.